White text on a blue background, Jobcast by Indeed. Hired from home. Preparing for your virtual interview. A woman sits in a tidy bedroom.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Jobcast.
Text, meet your hosts. Names and job descriptions of the two hosts are provided beside their respective photos.
I'm excited to introduce our presenter today, Lindsay Fagan. Lindsay is a recruitment evangelist at Indeed, where she consults with national employers, helping them improve recruitment strategies through data, insights, and trends. And that's me, Samantha Rosenberg. I'm on Indeed's Job Seeker Experience team. We're responsible for creating helpful resources and events like this Jobcast and the virtual hiring tour for our users like you. Take it away, Lindsay.
Thanks, Samantha. I'm happy to be here.
Lindsay sits in front of several framed artworks hanging on a wall.
We are going to be covering a lot of information during the workshop today.
Text, learning objectives.
What you can expect to learn is how to prepare for a virtual interview. We'll look at video interview best practices. We'll look at what to do when things don't go according to plan. And then lastly, we'll be going over how to follow up after your virtual events.
Footnote text, the information presented in this webinar is provided as a courtesy, and any views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Indeed. It does not represent a forecast, prediction, or other indication of future market or economic performance, and should not be relied upon for such purposes. Indeed is not a career or legal advisor and does not guarantee job interviews or offers.
To start off, we do know that with the spread of COVID-19, there has been and continues to be a major impact on the way people are both working and living today.
Text, we help people get jobs.
At Indeed, our mission is to help people get jobs, and now that mission is more important than ever. So that's why Indeed is helping employers shift their hiring practices online and why we started the virtual hiring tour.
Text, virtual hiring tour. Connect and interview with actively hiring employers from the convenience of your home. Indeed.com/virtual hiring tour. A screenshot of the home page of Indeed's virtual hiring tour website is shown.
I am sure you're aware there are currently tens of millions of Americans out of work today. So at Indeed, we wanted to find a way to connect candidates and employers in a way that's both safe and efficient. As you may already know, we are launching that virtual hiring tour. Now, this is basically a series of fully online hiring events that we're rolling out regionally, and those are going to be starting this week. Now, a hiring event allows you to bypass the standard applying process and waiting phase so you can jump straight into that interview. It may lead to job offers on the spot and can significantly reduce the time of your job search. For virtual hiring events, employers conduct video interviews instead of doing them in person. So for you, it is a really unique opportunity to meet employers without leaving the safety of your own home. If you are interested in learning more or signing up for one of these interviews, go to the link listed here. Today, we are going to spend time discussing on how to prepare for virtual interviews, whether they're part of that virtual hiring tour or not. And we'll go over how you can best position yourself to get the job by tackling any technical challenges along the way. Even though these events are virtual, so easier to get to, it doesn't mean that they're any easier to prepare for, and we certainly can't skip over the preparation part.
Text, the interview may be virtual, but the need for preparation is real.
Prepping for these is really important.
Text, carefully read the job description and event details. Employers will share information about what to expect, job requirements, and other details to help you decide if the role is right for you. A sample virtual hiring event web page is shown.
When we think about prepping, a good first step is to start with reading the event description. Within that description of the hiring event, you'll find that employers will include key information about what to expect day of. You can look for indications on if they plan to make offers on the spot, or if this might be the first interview within a series of interviews. Other details that may be included are the job requirements, like necessary certifications you might need to have, or other information that will help you determine if it's the right fit for you. Employers might also let you know if there's anything that you do need to prepare in advance, or they might let you know if there are any materials you should have with you, or even what to wear for the interview. These event descriptions are a great place for giving you some introductory information, but I would definitely recommend taking your preparation a step further by researching the company before the interview. Then you'll be able to take what you've learned about that company into your conversation with the interviewer.
Text, research the company values. Learn about the company, then show off that knowledge during your interview. Search for the employer's Indeed company page at indeed.com/companies. Check the About Us page on the employer's website. The Indeed review page for a sample company is shown.
You can take a look at both the company's website and their company page on Indeed to learn about more of what their mission and values are. If you find something that resonates with you, find a way to work that into the conversation during the interview. For example, if you see that a company you're interviewing with is active in the community, mention how that aligns with your desire to work with a community-focused organization. This will show that employer that you're already investing time into them by taking that step to research them, and that you might be someone for them to invest in as well. Now, Indeed's company pages are a good place to go to find reviews from both current and former employees and learn more about what it's like to work there. You can also skim the Q&As about what their interview process is like, and you can even find previous interview questions that were asked to other candidates. You can look at photos and videos that are posted on the company's social media channels. And another great thing that you can glean from that is the company's dress code. So you'll know if it's better to dress a little bit nicer for the interview. You can visit the website listed here and search the employer name to find their company page on Indeed. If you're looking for more tips on how to research companies, be sure to check out Indeed's career guide article called The Complete Guide to Researching a Company. That is going to be posted in the chat.
Text, tailor your resume. Apply the knowledge gained from your research to adjust your resume to the role. Use details found in the event or job description. Highlight your accomplishments and skills relevant to the roles. A sample resume is shown.
Now, once you've done your research, the first place you can put that newly gained knowledge into practice is by updating your resume. You can check the job listing to see if a resume is required, but honestly, even if it's not, updating your resume is a really helpful way to organize your work experience before the interview, and you can use that as an outline during the conversation. With a better understanding of the employer and what they're looking for, look over your resume and make sure you're positioning your experience in a way that's relevant for the job being offered at that specific event. For example, if a role is mentioned that you're most interested in, make sure you go to the professional summary on your resume and state that you are specifically seeking out that position. Use the information you found in the event description to guide the skills and accomplishments from your past experience that you want to highlight during that conversation. You want to make sure that your resume is updated so that the employer can very easily see how your background meets up with the requirements that they're looking for. The next step in prepping is practice. You do want to start by timing out your answers. The reason for that being, it is common for these virtual hiring events to be shorter than a traditional interview. So practice your elevator pitch. And what I mean by elevator pitch is basically putting together a 1-minute summary or less of yourself and who you are and how you're a good fit for the role. Having a solid elevator pitch like this is a good way to really concisely sell yourself during that interview.
Text, practice makes perfect.
When you're putting it together, think about including information like who you are as a professional, maybe what your career goals are that might be relevant to that company or role. You can even ask yourself questions like, are you good at data and numbers, or are you more of a creative expert? Do you have excellent customer service experience? Describing what you like, what you're good at, and how you can contribute to a company is definitely important to communicate during an interview. Now, use your resume as a guide while prepping. While you don't want to necessarily just repeat the information that's already on your resume, you can speak to accomplishments and the impact of those accomplishments. For example, you could mention that you received an award for outstanding performance, or maybe you maintained a certain level of productivity in one of your previous roles. Also, be prepared to ask at least one question during your interview. Like I mentioned, these interviews are often condensed, so you might only have the opportunity to ask one question. So make sure you're prioritizing those and picking a good one to ask first. Some examples of questions you might consider asking to learn more about the company are, can you describe the working culture at your organization? Or how does the company measure success for this specific role? What is your company's customer service philosophy? If you're interested in seeing more examples of questions that are good to ask in interviews, you can find the Career Guide article, 10 Questions to Ask After an Interview, linked in the chat here. Lastly, don't forget the tech element. If you're new to interviewing by video, or if you're borrowing equipment from a friend, you definitely want to test out the camera and the microphone and make sure you have a secure internet connection at least a day in advance. To do this before the interview is just going to prevent things from going wrong the day of. Now, for some general best practices to avoid interruption, simply let people know that you can't be disturbed during certain times. Something as simple as leaving a note on the door of the room you're in might be helpful. For insurance, you might want to give yourself 15 to 30 minutes of a buffer before and after the scheduled interview time, just in case the interview runs over. That is less likely to happen during a hiring event, but it is a good best practice to establish. I also recommend facing the door if possible so that the camera's facing the wall behind you. That way, if someone does come into the room, they're A, not immediately visible on the camera, but B, it's easy for you to give them a quick nod to show that you can't be disturbed, or they might even catch on to the fact that you're in the middle of an interview on their own.
Text, have the camera face a wall that is neutral and free of clutter.
Also, adjust the lights in the room. If things appear dark or dim, you might want to bring in an extra desk lamp just to brighten up the space.
Text, avoid having a window directly behind you.
Another good tip is to clear your desk space except for items like a notepad and pen for you to take notes, maybe a resume to have handy, and other notes or questions that you want to reference during the interview. It's also a good idea to have some water handy for yourself. This is something a lot of people don't think of. It is amazing how dry your throat can get once you start talking, so keep water nearby just in case your throat does start to get a little scratchy. Because these events rely on the use of technology, like I mentioned, it is best to check your technology the day before the event.
Text, technology best practices.
Again, test your webcam and audio and make sure the internet connection is strong. Another tip is to make sure you don't have anything downloading in the background that could slow down your connection. You want to try and limit interruptions and distractions. So on your computer, close out any windows or tabs or applications that you're not using for the interview. If you have a calendar up or a messenger app, you may want to turn off notifications to make sure that you're not interrupted with any sounds or dings or visuals. Also, turn your phone on silent. A quick note about what to do if you don't have the technology you need for a virtual interview. You could explore resources available at your public library. Some libraries have private rooms that you can reserve and might even be able to loan you some of the equipment that you need. Now, this might be a little harder to do right now just because many public services are still closed or enforcing social distancing guidelines. So an alternative solution would be to ask friends or family if they have equipment that you could borrow for the interview. If you do borrow the equipment, again, be sure to pick it up a day before if possible to give yourself time to test it and make sure there aren't any issues connecting to the internet or using the technology. If you are interviewing as part of the virtual hiring tour, your video interview will use Indeed's new virtual interview platform, also known as VIP.
A sample VIP interview session and a sample notification for an upcoming interview are shown.
The day before the interview, you're going to receive both an email and a text message. Both of those are going to contain a link to the virtual interview platform. Now, a couple of quick things to mention about VIP.
A sample hiring event welcome message and screen on the VIP app is shown.
First, You can join on either a mobile or desktop device for VIP. If you are joining and experiencing any issues with connections, or if you have any questions, you can click that blue chat button to get some support from the Indeed support team. On the check-in screen, you will see a custom welcome message from the employer, and then you're going to be prompted to get in line. Then you'll see a pop-up asking for your phone number. Now, this is going to be used to text you when it's time for your interview. That way, you don't have to sit there staring at the screen just waiting for your interview to start. Then you'll be able to see how many people are in line ahead of you for interviews. And when it's your turn to be interviewed, you'll see a timer on the page. And that's going to mean that you've got 5 minutes to join. And if you don't join within that 5 minutes, you'll be moved to the back of the line. When you're ready, go ahead and click Join Interview Room.
A dark phone screen is shown, with text, "Please wait for your interviewer."
You will be the first to enter before the interviewer.
A sample interview session on a phone is shown. There are 3 buttons at the bottom of the screen.
And very similar to FaceTime or Zoom, you're going to have a couple of controls there. You can mute yourself, you can stop the video, or you have the option to end the call. If you have an interview lined up that's not part of a virtual hiring event, your video interview might be using a platform like Zoom, like on this webinar. So these tips will be particularly helpful to you. Zoom is a popular video conferencing app that has increased in usage due to the impact of COVID-19 and what that's done to in-person interviews. Here are some Zoom-specific tips that are good to implement as soon as you schedule your virtual interview. First, save the interview details and Zoom link in your calendar. That way it's easy to find.
6 illustrations of people in Zoom calls are shown beside the Zoom tips that Lindsay discusses.
Then download the Zoom app and test it again. You want to do this the day before the interview. Then you can create a Zoom account. When you do this, you're going to have the opportunity to add a photo and a name that's going to appear in the meeting. Be sure that the photo is professional, and a good best practice is to use the name that's reflected on your resume. Create a test meeting to make sure that you have no issues connecting to your computer, microphone, or camera. And then on the day of the event, join the interview 5 minutes prior to, again, test your speaker and microphone. Even though you tested these in advance, you'll want to save time and test these again the day of the interview as well, just to set yourself up for success. Now, when it comes to dressing for a virtual hiring event, you should always dress as professionally as you would for an in-person interview. You can take note of how others are dressed when you're researching the company website, but keep your business attire business casual at a minimum.
Text, set the stage.
Even if you're interviewing for a tech company that appears casual, you'll want to wear a button-down dress shirt or a nice blouse for the interview. Also, something to note, bright colors and patterns on clothing can sometimes be affected by the camera, so try and avoid those and wear softer colors instead. If you do wear glasses, just make sure that you adjust the lighting in the room so that there's not a glare on your lenses, which would obstruct your eyes. You absolutely want to be able to make eye contact during the interview. You should position the camera so that you're looking up slightly and you're centered on the screen.
Text, adjust the lighting.
And then one last tip here. Even though it's likely that the interview will only see your upper half, be sure to wear professional bottoms just in case you need to stand up for any reason.
Text, body language. An illustration of a woman sitting in a chair holding a tablet computer is shown beside body language tips.
Just like in a traditional interview, be aware of how important your body language is. Eye contact is even more important for these events because your face is centered on the screen. To make sure that you're making eye contact, make a conscious effort to look at the webcam, not just the video of the interviewer on the screen. And you should also convey excitement for the role by keeping a good energy level throughout the interview. You can do this in a few different ways. One of them is to maintain good posture by sitting up in your chair, back straight, shoulders open. And another way is to make sure you're simply nodding and smiling throughout the conversation. Showing engagement like that indicates that you're giving them your full attention. You can show some animation with hand gestures just to avoid fidgeting or looking away from your screen. One thing to expect when participating in a virtual hiring event is waiting for your turn for the interview. These events are open to a lot of people at once, which means you might need to wait in a virtual lobby for your turn. Typically, candidates are interviewed at a first come, first served basis.
Text, maximize your wait time.
RSVPing in advance does give employers a better idea of how many candidates they can expect. But as a best practice, try and arrive a little bit early or as close to the hiring event start time as possible, because there is the possibility that employers might not be able to interview everyone at the event within that time frame, and they might ask you to come back and virtually interview another day. Since you are anticipating that there's going to be a wait, be prepared to use that time to your advantage. I found that there's two directions you can typically go with using this time. Some people like to focus on staying relaxed before an interview. So you could consider listening to music or reading a book or practicing some breathing exercises. You can also use the time to practice your elevator pitch or review items from your resume that you want to highlight when you're having the conversation with the interviewer. The important thing is to make sure that you're spending time on something that's going to help you stay calm and feel prepared for the upcoming interview. If you are waiting in the VIP interview platform or if you're on a Zoom call, just make sure to put yourself on mute so that employer doesn't join and hear your music playing in the background or hear you practicing your elevator pitch. When working with technology, there is always the opportunity for things to go wrong. And we've gone over a lot of ways to prep and try and make sure that doesn't happen. But let's go over some helpful tips for what to do when things don't go according to plan. That way you can still impress the interviewer despite any technical difficulties.
Text, video or audio interruption. An illustration is shown of a two-person video call where a participant's screen is not working.
Since interviews are conducted by phone or video, it's best to plan ahead for these technical difficulties. At the start of the interview, ask if you can provide your phone number or if you can receive the number of the person that you're interviewing with so that you can continue the interview if connection is lost for any reason during that conversation. Then if you do lose connection and you're able to connect on the phone, you can ask if you can continue the interview that way on the phone. Or if video is imperative to the interview, you can also make plans to reschedule.
Text, noise interrupts the conversation. An illustration of a woman and her dog is shown.
Another scenario to prepare for is noise interruption. A lot of us are working from home and it's possible to have the noise of sirens or construction or a doorbell ringing. If you're already in the quietest spot and this happens, simply apologize for the interruption and ask for a few minutes for the noise to subside. If it is really loud, you can also mute your microphone. If you're sharing a living space or you're conducting the interview from a public area, you are often at the mercy of your surroundings. If during an interview, let's say a family member or household housemate or a pet enters into the room, just play it cool.
A woman waves as she enters a room while a man is in a video call.
Start by apologizing to the interviewer and again, ask for a few moments. In that case, be sure to mute your microphone and turn off your camera. Then you can step away and deal with the interruption. Then just make sure that the room is secure. You're ready to go again before beginning the interview. Planning ahead and staying calm when issues arise help with two things. One, it ensures that your interview goes smoothly, even with a small hiccup. And two, which I think is more important, it demonstrates to the interviewer how you behave in challenging situations.
Text, follow up with a thank you email. A sample email is shown.
As you wrap up your interviews, be sure to ask the recruiter at the event for their email contact information. Within 24 hours after the interview, send them a follow-up email that simply shows your appreciation and reiterates how excited and interested you are in that role. Thank you letters are a really simple final touch that can help you stand out from other candidates. Sam, I'm going to hand it back to you now. That's all I've got.
Text, time for Q&A.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Now, let's look at some of the top questions that came in. So The first one, I can actually take this one, Lindsay. Someone asked if you are located in one region but are targeting another, which one should you register for? For example, if someone is located or lives in DC but is looking for a job in San Francisco or to relocate, where should they sign up? So, feel free to sign up where you are actually looking for a job. Your resume will either say where you're actually living, or you can even put the city that you're looking to move to, and even ask or let the employer know if they do ask or it comes up in the interview. But definitely apply, and you want to interview for the jobs that you're looking to target. So if you're looking in San Fran, for example, but you live in DC, definitely go look at those jobs in San Francisco. And very similarly to that, another question came up about remote employment. And so if you actually go to the event page, and you can get to there from the indeed.com/virtual hiring tour link, then you can actually choose remote jobs. And so feel free to look at those options as well, and you'll be able to see within the event description or job description if, for example, that will be permanently remote and you are able to live anywhere in the United States, or if it's only kind of temporarily remote during COVID-19. And make sure you read that before interviewing or signing up for your interview. Okay, so the next question, Lindsay, it says, is it okay to not have a photo linked to your Zoom profile? Do you have an opinion on that by any chance?
It's absolutely fine if you don't have one. I think it's always helpful to be able to see the person that you're interviewing with. You are going to turn on your camera for the interview if possible. If for whatever reason it's not working, I'd recommend having one if you do have a professional picture. It doesn't have to be a formal headshot by any means, just a nice picture of you looking straight ahead. So you don't have to have one, but I do recommend it.
Great. Someone asked, what are your thoughts on showing your room as a backdrop during an interview versus an image/Zoom backdrop? Is there one employers tend to prefer?
I think that's dealer's choice, honestly. Some people, if it seems like there's going to be distractions in the back, some people will put up virtual backgrounds. Some people don't. I think it's 50-50 and totally up to you, unless Samantha, you had any additional thoughts on that.
Yeah, I would say sometimes there are some issues when you do use that Zoom backdrop image, just with the way technology works sometimes. But if you are not going to put that on, for example, both Lindsay and I don't have a Zoom backdrop on right now. Just as Lindsay said, make sure that there's no distractions, that you have a light in front of you, possibly a clear wall. Just you want to make sure that it all looks organized in the back.
I will say there are a ton of people working from home right now, and employers kind of expect you to be taking these calls from home. I know even with just all the conversations I have with employers, we're all working from home. We're seeing each other's bedrooms, we're seeing each other's family members. It's normal, and I wouldn't be self-conscious about it.
Definitely. So I can actually take the next one. Someone asked, how do we sign up for the virtual interview? So you can go to that link, indeed.com/virtual hiring tour. You'll see a link to event pages for all regions. So this week, starting in the Western US, and then we're going to the South, Midwest, and Northeast. So you can click on the region that you live in or are looking for a job in, and you'll go to the event page from there, and you'll be able to see all of the different roles and employers that are hiring and interviewing during that week, and you'll be able to sign up for your interview from there. We actually had a question from the community that I would like to go over. And Lindsay, I know we talked a little bit about this, but I think it would be good to reiterate. So someone asked, what is the best thing to wear to the virtual interview, both for a man and a woman?
So again, you can research the company through pictures on their Indeed company page or on their website. But even if it's, for example, Indeed, we're a tech company, it's a really casual company where a lot of people, you'll do video calls and it is t-shirts that people are wearing. But for example, today I am not wearing a t-shirt. I am making sure I'm business casual. So I'd say a blouse or a button-down top, something modest, something not loud, basic but not casual. Does that answer the question?
Definitely. And you guys can also look at that success on a virtual hiring tour career guide article. And it also talks a little bit more about that there. So, all right, next question. This is actually a really great one. So someone asked if you have any suggestions for a unique or just best questions to ask the interviewer in order to stand out at the end of your interview.
So we do have a guide on a bunch of questions to ask, but I'm of the mentality that this is just as much an interview for you as it is for the employer. You want to make sure that this is a good fit for you. So we probably don't want to go in and have the first question be, hey, how much vacation time am I going to get day one? But getting a sense of if this employer is going to be a long-term fit for you, if this job is going to be a stepping stone for a career that you want to develop. So there's no one best question. I think if you look at some examples of typical questions people can ask and just understand what's most important to you. You don't want to just ask a question to look like you're interested. It's like I said, these interviews are typically shorter than a standard interview. So it's your opportunity to understand if it's going to be the right fit for you.
Great, thank you. All right, so the next question, someone wants to know, what should I do if the interview sends me a link for a virtual interview but only shows their profile picture? Am I obligated to turn my camera on even though they don't turn their camera on?
You're not obligated, and I'll be the first to say, I do a lot of virtual meetings with employers. I always turn mine on because I think that it's, even if someone's not comfortable turning theirs on for whatever reason, you want to establish that personal connection, show your personality, and a video is the best way to do that. It is an awkward time with us not being able to have face-to-face interactions. If you're not comfortable turning it on, if they don't have theirs on, don't feel like you have to. I would encourage you to do that, though. You're going to be set up in an environment where you've prepared to, show yourself. You've gotten ready and whatnot. So I'd encourage you to do that.
So it looks like someone actually had a follow-up question, Lindsay. And so someone asked, if an interview's video is not going, then can I turn my video off?
So let's say you have yours turned on, they're not turning theirs on, you want to turn yours off. Again, whatever you're going to be most comfortable with. If you feel awkward being the only one on the screen, you absolutely can turn it off. I think a lot of employers would assume at times, like if theirs isn't on, you might turn yours off. I wouldn't feel like you have to. One thing I will mention is, especially with Zoom, if you do find you're having any internet connection difficulties, that's when you do want to turn off your video, because sometimes if you're working with a slower internet connection, that'll impact the call. And if you turn off the video, that does help.
Great. So the next question, someone asked, is it possible to filter hiring events by role? So at the moment on that event page, you'll be able to filter by state and city. You won't actually be able to filter by role at the moment, but you'll be able to go through and see all of those positions that each employer is hiring for. Also, though, if you are searching on Indeed.com and you are looking for a specific role in those search results, it is possible that that a specific employer and position does come up on your search results, and you're able to sign up to interview from there. Awesome. All right, we'll take one more question. So someone asked, how much time would you suggest to dedicate to researching a company prior to an interview? It's a great question.
So think about doing homework, right? Preparing for a test. Not that this is a test, it's a conversation. Don't be intimidated. But at the same time, you want to research the company, not just for the interview, but for you to understand if this is going to be a good fit for you. There are a lot of companies interviewing right now, and is their culture what you're looking for? I know for me, I am a mom of two, so having work-life balance is very important for me. That is something that when I researched a new job, that was something I researched in detail. In addition to culture, values, what people are saying the company's like, is there a lot of room for growth? And these are, as you research, what you want to be doing when you want to be able to feel like you'll have a conversation with the interviewer where, let's say they ask you, why do you think you'd be a good fit at this company? You don't want to just reference the job opening and say, I'm qualified for this job. You can say, hey, not only am I qualified for this job, but the way you all think as an organization aligns with my beliefs. X, Y, and Z is, following up on that, et cetera. So there's no specific answer to how much time, but how long will it take for you to feel comfortable asking the interviewer questions? And how long will it take for you to get a sense of what questions do I have and is this company right for me?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lindsay. I think that's all the time we have today. But just a quick reminder, you can continue asking questions and keep the conversation going on the community at go.indeed.com/hiredfromhome. If you found this to be helpful, check out our other Jobcasts as well at go.indeed.com/jobcast.
Text register for an upcoming virtual workshop or watch on demand. The Indeed Jobcast homepage is shown.
For the latest information from Indeed, follow us on social media. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck on your virtual interviews, everyone.
Thanks.
White text on a blue background, Jobcast by Indeed.